Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl Sophia Spiritual Light, and we're here with part three of the Secret Laws of America, the Hammurabi Code. And of course, go back and check out parts one and two, but try to put this in bite-sized pieces so that it would be easier for people to digest. Although I myself am having a very difficult time digesting this information. Um, it's just shocking. It's just really shocking. So let's start back. We're going to start with 151. Now, if you missed the last video, if you don't remember, in the last video, there was about 35 codes missing, and those come up at the end. So those will be in part 5, I guess. And those codes go from 66 through 99. Part 66 through 99 were missing. Um, and those show up again at the end of this, the rest of the code. Okay, so just so you know about that, why it went from 50 to 150 in one video. All right. So, Code 151, Statute 151. If a woman who is dwelling in the house of a man, her husband, has bound himself that she shall not be seized on account of a creditor of the husband's, has granted a deed, that if that man before he married that woman had a debt upon him, the creditor shall not seize the wife. And if that woman before she entered the man's house had a debt upon her, the creditor shall not seize her husband. Statute 152. This is the standardization of permanent indentured servitude and slavery right here, what they're establishing. Why, when you can take people from their families to satisfy debt, which is basically slavery. Statute 152. If from the time, and this, remember guys, this book was written in 1903. This code is from 2242 BC. Okay, this looks like it's literally accurate today in the way that it's written. What they were going through is exactly what we're going through today. All right. Section 152. If from the time that woman entered into the house of the man a debt has come upon them, both together they shall answer the merchant. Statute 153. If a man's wife, on account of another male, has caused her husband to be killed, that woman upon a stake shall one set her. Wow. Statute 154. If a man has known his daughter, that man one shall expel from the city. You know who that means needs to be expelled? The president right now. We have in that diary that he has known his daughter. Anyway, I guess we won't dwell on that too long as to not upset people. All right. Just have to have a tea break. All right. So the next statute, statute 155. If a man has betrothed a bride to his son, and his son has known her, and he afterwards has lain her in her bosom, and one has caught him, that man shall bind and cast her into the waters. Statute 156. If a man has betrothed a bride to his son, and his son has not known her, and he has lain in her bosom, he shall pay her half a mina of silver, and shall pay to her whatever she bought from her father's house, and she shall marry the husband of her choice. Statute 157. If a man after his father has lain in the bosom of his mother, one shall burn them both of them together. Ew. Statute 158. If a man after his father has been caught in the bosom of her that brought him up, who has borne children, that man shall be cut off from his father's house. Why do they have so many of these problems? Statute 159. If a man who had, remember, this was chiseled into stone. Like, I'm sorry, 159. If a man who has bought in a present to the house of his father in law, has given a dowry, has looked upon another woman, and said to his father in law, thy daughter I will not marry, the father of the daughter shall take to himself all that he brought him. Statute 160. If a man has brought in a present to the house of his father in law and has given a dowry, and the father of the daughter has said, "My daughter I will not give thee," he shall make up in return everything that he brought him. Statute 161. If a man has brought it in a present to the house of his father in law, has given a dowry, and a comrade of his has slandered him, his father in law has said to the claimant of the wife, "My daughter shalt thou not espouse," he shall make up in return all that he brought him, and his comrade shall not marry his wife. Statute 162. If a man has married a wife and she has borne him children, and that woman has gone to her fate, her father shall have no claim on her marriage portion. Her marriage portion is the children's forsooth. Statute 163. If a man has married a wife and she has not granted him children, that woman has gone to her fate. If his father in law has returned him the dowry that the man brought to the house of his father in law, her husband shall have no claim on the marriage portion of that woman. Her marriage portion belongs to the house of her father, forsooth. Statute 164. If his father in law has not returned to him the dowry, he shall deduct all of her dowry from his marriage portion and shall return her marriage portion to the house of her father. Statute 165. If a man apportion to his son the first in his eyes, field, garden, and house, has written him a sealed deed after the father has gone to his fate, when the brothers divide, the present his father gave him he shall take, and over and above he shall share equally in the goods of his father's house. Statute 166. If a man, in addition to the children which he has possessed, has taken a wife, for his young son has not taken a wife, after the father has gone to his fate, when the brothers divide from the goods of the father's house, to their young brother who has not taken a wife, besides his share, they shall assign him money as a dowry, and shall cause him to take a wife. Statute 167. If a man has taken a wife and she has borne him sons, the woman has gone to her fate. After her, he has taken to himself another woman, and she has borne him children. Afterwards, the father has gone to his fate. The children shall not share according to their mothers. They shall take the marriage portions of their mothers and share the goods of their father's house equally. Statute 168. If a man has set his face to cut off his son, he has said to the judge, "I will cut off my son." The judge shall inquire into his reasons. And if the son has not committed a heavy crime which cuts off from sonship, the father shall not cut off his son from sonship. Statute 169. If he has committed, you know what I'm thinking about this? The real commandments Moses brought down must be really serious, because this right here is very detailed. So whatever Moses brought down should be equally as detailed. And this has 282 lines. So there's no way that the 10 commandments is 10 things. Okay? It's not possible. All right. Let's continue on. 168. If a man has set his face to cut off his son, oh wait, 169, I'm sorry. If he has committed against his father a heavy crime which cuts off from sonship, for the first time the judge shall bring back his face. If he has committed a heavy crime for the second time, the father shall cut off his son from sonship. Statute 170. If a man, his wife, has borne him sons, and his maidservant has borne him sons, the father in his lifetime has said to the sons which the maidservant has borne, "My sons," has numbered them with the sons of his wife. After the father has gone to his fate, the sons of the wife and the sons of the maidservant shall share equally in the goods of the father's house. The sons that are the sons of the wife at the sharing shall choose and take. Statute 171. And if the father in his lifetime to the sons which the maidservant bore him has not said, "My sons," after the father has gone to his fate, the sons of the maid shall not share with the sons of the wife in the goods of the father's house. One shall assign the maidservant and her sons freedom. The sons of the wife shall have no claim on the sons of the maidservant, For servitude, the wife shall take her marriage portion and the settlement which her husband gave her and wrote in a deed for her, and shall dwell in the dwelling of her husband as long as he lives. As long as lives, she shall enjoy. For money she shall not give. After her, they are her sons, forsooth. Statute 172. If her husband did not give her a settlement, one shall pay her marriage portion, and from the goods of her husband's house she shall take share like one son. If her sons worry her to leave the house, the judge shall inquire into her reasons and shall lay the blame on the sons. The woman shall not go out of the husband's house. If that woman has set her face to leave, the settlement which her husband gave her, she shall leave her sons. The marriage portion from her father's house shall take, and shall marry the husband of her choice. Statute 173. If that, I mean, let me just, before I move on, I'm just going to really quickly comment on this because basically what they're saying is if the man of the house sleeps with the maid, right? Basically. And he considers the children of the maid like his children, then they get portions like his children. If he does not consider them like his children, the maid servant gets a portion like one of the sons, and then all of the children get their freedom. So basically, if you become a maid, now on the first part they're talking about how you can become a maid servant, right? You can literally be taken into slavery. So if you're taken into slavery on the first part, you go some into somebody, this is human trafficking, okay? Just understand this is human trafficking. If somebody takes you for debt into a, this is what Father God, oh Father, oh Father, I okay, I'm trying to stay calm. This is enraging. If the people, the man who has bought you, right, from whoever sold you, whoever was doing that slavery, if this man who has bought you has children with you and he dies, you still may not end up free. Your sons, your children may end up free. It depends on what he puts in his sealed deed. And what is a sealed deed? But a will and testament. Okay, I'm going to go on. Statute 173. If that woman, where she has entered, shall have borne children to her later husband after the woman has died, the former and later son shall receive her marriage portion. Statute 174. And why do they have to have all these rules? Again, this stuff is crazy. Statute 174. If she has not borne children to her later husband, and the sons of her bridegroom shall take her marriage portion. Statute 175. If either the slave of the palace or the slave of the poor man has taken to wife the daughter of a gentleman, and she has borne sons, the owner of the slave shall have no claim on the sons of the daughter of a gentleman for servitude. Statute 176. And if a slave of the palace or the slave of a poor man has taken to wife the daughter of a gentleman, and when he married her with a marriage portion from her father's house, she entered into the house of a slave of the palace or of the slave of a poor man, and from the time that they started to keep house and acquire property, either after the servant of the palace or the servant of the poor man has gone to his fate, the daughter of the gentleman shall take her marriage portion, and whatever her husband and she from the time they started have acquired one shall divide two parts, and the owner of the slave shall take one half, and the daughter of the gentleman shall take one half for her children. If the gentleman's daughter had no marriage portion, whatever her husband and she acquired from the time they started have acquired, one shall divide into two parts, and the owner of the slave shall take half, and the gentleman's daughter shall take half for her sons. Okay, so now I understand King Solomon too, because that whole thing with telling them they was going to cut the baby in half and all of that, that's where all of those rules come from. Here, right here. Also makes me think of Aladdin, because he was a poor person, not quite a slave, this and that, and that whole process. So that makes me understand that a lot more too. This is some shocking stuff. Statute 177. If a widow whose children are young has set her face to enter into the house of another without consent of a judge, she shall not enter. When she enters into the house of another, the judge shall inquire into what is left of her former husband's house and the house of her former husband to her later husband, and that woman shall entrust and cause them to receive a deed. They shall not keep the house and rear little ones. Not a utensil shall they give for money. The buyer has bought a utensil of the widow's son shall lose his money and shall return the property to its owners. That's weird. Statute 177. If a lady, a votary, or a vowed woman whose father has granted her a marriage portion has written her a deed, in the deed he has written her has not, however, written her after her whenever is good to her to give, has not permitted her or her choice, after the father has gone to his fate, her brother shall take her field and her garden, and according to the value of her share, shall give her corn, oil, wool, and shall content her heart. If her brothers have not given her corn, oil, wool, according to the value of her share, and have not contented her heart, he shall give her field or garden to a cultivator, whoever pleases her, and her cultivator shall sustain her. The garden, the field garden, or whatever her father has given her, shall enjoy as long as she lives. She shall not give it for money. She shall not answer to another her sonship as her brother's forsooth. Okay, so you're telling me what was the whole suffrage thing about? Because literally, you have right here that the daughters, if they're not married, get an equal portion. So what is this whole thing that they did with this not allowing women to vote? What is that? What is that? Okay, statute 179. If a lady, a votary, or a woman vowed whose father has granted her a marriage portion has written her a deed, in the deed he wrote her, has written her after her wherever is good to give to her to give, has allowed her all her choice after the father has gone to his fate, and after her wherever is good to her she shall give, her brothers have no claim on her. Statute 180. If a father to his daughter, a votary, bride, or vowed woman, has not granted a marriage portion after the father has gone to his fate, she shall share in the goods of the father's house like a share like one son. As long as she lives, she shall enjoy. After her, it is her brother's forsooth. Statute 181. If a father has vowed to God a votary here Heriodul or Nubar and has not granted her a marriage portion after the father has gone to his fate, she shall share in the goods of her father's house 1/3 of her sonship, and shall enjoy it as long as she lives. After her, it is her brother's forsooth. Statute 182. If a father to his daughter, a votary of Marduk, okay, hold on, this we got specific on this one, of Babylon, has not, wait a minute, Marduk is Babylon? Y'all. Okay, let's keep going. Has not written her marriage, has not written her, granted her a marriage portion, has not written her a deed. After the father has gone to his fate, she shall share with her brothers in the goods of the father's house, 1/3 of her sonship a share, and shall pay no tax. A votary of Marduk after her shall give wherever it is good to her. Marduk is Babylon. 183, statute 183. If a father to his daughter, a concubine, has granted her a marriage portion and has given her to a husband, has written her a deed, after the father has gone to his fate, she shall not share in the goods of her father's house. Statute 184. If a man to his daughter, a concubine, has not granted a marriage portion, has not given her to a husband after the father has gone to her fate, her brothers, according to the capacity of the father's house, shall grant her a marriage portion and shall give her to a husband. Statute 185. If a man has taken a young child, okay, so let me just pause. So that makes it seem like basically The father had shares of all of his stuff. And if you were a son, you got your share directly. But if you were a daughter, you got your share through your marriage portion. And your marriage portion went to fund you and your wife, your husband's whatever, you know what I mean? And so it's not like the women were left out of the will or anything. They were actually given their marriage portion first. The sons had to wait for the father to die, whereas the woman, she got her stuff. She got it assigned to her before he died, and basically, it seems like it just went into like a little savings account, and they just held on to it. It wasn't like it was money that got spent unless it really needed to be spent on something. All right. Statute 185. If a man has taken a young child from his waters to sonship and has reared him up, no one has any claim against that nursling. Statute 186. If a man has taken a young child to sonship, and when he took him, his father and mother rebelled, that nursling shall return to his father's house. Statute 187. The son of a nersega, like a nigger, anyway, a palace warder, or the son of a vowed woman, no one has any claim upon you. Well, I'm the son of a Nersega, aren't I? God. Okay. Statute 188. If an artisan has taken a son to bring up and has caused him to learn his handicraft, no one has any claim. That's why all of our people were artists. All of our people were artists. You can't. Mm. Oh my goodness, Father. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to do 10 more and then we're going to start another video. Statute 189. If he has not caused him to learn his handicraft, that nursling shall return to his father's house. Statute 190. If a man, the child whom he took to sonship and has brought him up, has not numbered him with sons, that nursling shall return to his father's house. Statute 191. If a man, after a young child whom he has taken to sonship and brought him up, has made a house for himself and acquired children, and has set his face to cut off the nursling, that child shall not go his way. The father that has brought him up shall give to him from his goods 1/3 of his sonship, and he shall go off from field, garden, and house he shall not give him. Statute 192. If the son of a palace warder or of a vowed woman to the father that has brought him up, and the mother that has brought him up, has said, Thou art not my father, thou art not my mother, one shall cut out his tongue. God dang. Statute 193. If a son of a palace warder or of a vowed woman has known his father's house and has hated the father that brought him up, or the mother that brought him up, and has gone off to the house of his father, one shall tear out his eye. Jesus. Statute 194. If a man has given his son to a wet nurse, that son has died in the hand of a wet nurse. The wet nurse, without consent of the father and his mother, has procured another child. One shall put her to account, because, without consent of his father and his mother, she has procured another child. One shall cut off her breast. What the hell? Okay, let's keep going. We're done at the end of this page. Statute 195. If a man has struck his father, his hands one shall cut off. Golly. Statute 196. If a man has caused the loss of a gentleman's eye, his eye shall his eye shall cause to be lost. Statute 197. If he has shattered a gentleman's limb, one shall shatter his limb. Statute 198. If he has caused a poor man to lose his eye or shattered a poor man's limb, he shall pay 1 mina of silver. Statute. Okay, so that's why they think they can just abuse our people and just pay and get away with it because that's been their law. Statute 199. If he has caused the loss of the eye of a gentleman's servant, one has shattered the limb of a gentleman's servant, he shall pay half his price. Wow. Statute 200. If a man has made the tooth of a man that is equal to fall out, one shall make his tooth fall out. So now you understand the eye for an eye parable because I never quite understood that. I was like, that doesn't really make sense. And now, like, I've finished recording all of Luke 7 through 12, but you can go back in the Gospels and make a lot more sense of what Yahweh Shai was talking about, because this is what was going on. Like, the reason why they need all these laws, because that's what these people were doing. Crazy stuff. This stuff is crazy. Why do you need laws on all of this? Why are you going to say you're going to cut off a woman's breast because the child died and she got some more work? That's our people who were breastfeeding. So you're just going to cut. I mean, this kind of stuff is like, it's really it's really shocking. So anyway, we're going to continue on. This is part 3. Part 4 should be right under it, and or right before it, whatever, however you're looking at it. And of course, to the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace, and always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.